and tinning. Galvanizing and tinning. What is galvanizing? Process of coating of iron with zinc is called as galvanizing. Then what is tinning? Coating iron or steel with tin. Iron is coated with zinc, it is called galvanizing. Iron is coated with tin, it is called as tinning. So try to understand and remember. Next, here zinc protects iron sacrificially because it is forcing iron very much to behave as a cathode. Because it is more electropositive, anodic nature in than iron. Because zinc is having minus 0.76 volts, whereas iron is having only minus 0.44 volts electrode potential. Therefore, it is acting as anode. Zinc is acting as anode, right? And it is forcing iron to behave as a cathode. But in the case is reverse. Here, tin protects from corrosion due to its noble nature. It does not react because it is having high corrosion resistance. It is cathodic in nature. Iron is anodic in nature in case of tinning. But still, how is the tinning protecting iron? That we have to understand very clearly. Now the point will get it. In the case of galvanized article, tin continues to protect this iron even if there are any small cracks are there. Then also first who is going to die? Zinc is going to die. That is sacrifice itself because zinc acts as anode. Zinc is anode. You remember very clearly. Zinc acts as anode, whereas tin acts as cathode. Even if there are any small cracks, then also the underlying iron is protected, even in case of cracks. But in case of tinning, if there is any break is there, then it causes corrosion of iron, any break. Why? Because I told you, tin is acting as cathode and iron is acting as anode. I told you very clearly since the beginning we have been discussing and we are trying to recollect every time that the cathode is protected, anode is corroded. So corrosion takes place very fast. If there is any slight, even also any break is there, immediately iron comes out of the zinc and the corrosion takes place. And galvanized containers cannot be used for storing food. Why? Because zinc reacts with food. So zinc reacts with food, they form poisonous compounds. Very poisonous compounds. So you should not use galvanized articles for storing of any food materials. But tinned articles, yes, they can be used. Tinned articles can be used. Tin coating containers and utensils, they can be used for storing food stuff. Because tin is non-toxic. Non-toxic means it's not poisonous. Zinc is poisonous, whereas tin is non-poisonous in nature. Very, very important. And this question will be asked in some other manner. Explain why galvanized articles cannot be used, whereas tin articles can be used to store food stuff. Then the answer is very clear. Okay, here zinc acts as anode and it forms poisonous compounds which may lead to death. Whereas tin acts as cathode and its noble character is not going to spoil our food items. That is the case. And final difference is, in case of galvanizing we are using ammonium chloride as a flux. So NH4 Cl is our flux. But in case of tinning we are using zinc chloride as flux. These are the differences between galvanizing and tinning. So try to understand and recollect these points. If this table is very clear, the diagrams, if you are thorough with the diagrams, the scheme, everything will be very nice and you can write it in your own words. So now we shall see the next one. One is anodic coating and other one is cathodic coating. I told you just now that zinc acting as anode, whereas tin acting as cathode. What is the difference between these two? That is what is very important. And if you understand this table, you can understand galvanizing and tinning very easily. Very simple. Very easy. So carefully observe here. So anodic coating protects the base metal sacrificially. So zinc sacrifices. But here, in case of cathodic coating, the base metal will be protected due to the corrosion resistance and noble behavior of tin or cathode. So we are coating cathode on anode. Is it clear? So then also there is a possibility to stop the corrosion. So here also corrosion is stopped, there also corrosion is stopped. But here zinc is being sacrificed, zinc is lost. But here tin, it will never react and it is not going to allow the iron to react. Next, this coating metal is at a lower potential than the base metal. Yes, zinc I said it is minus 0.76 volts. But here the tin, it is at a higher potential. If it is higher in potential, I said, you should remember that electrochemical series and galvanic series, if the potential is high, it always acts as cathode. If the potential is low, it always acts as anode. This point is to be very clearly remembered. And here, the corrosion of the base metal does not occur even if there are any breaks or pores. Why? Because it is having lower potential. Lower potential means it will never allow, it always forces the base metal to act as cathode even if there is any crack also. But the case here, if there are any pores or break, corrosion occurs to the base metal very fast. Why? Because the base metal is our anode and the tin acts as cathode. That is the reason. In cathodic coating, if there is any crack or scratch, immediately what happens? Iron is inside, beneath the tin. It is exposed to air. Immediately it starts a reaction. And what are the examples for anodic coating? Galvanizing is an example of anodic coating. For cathodic coating, tinning is an example, coating of tin on iron. So this is the important difference between galvanizing and iron, galvanizing and tinning, right? But you have to be very clear that is galvanizing comes under anodic coating, whereas tinning comes under cathodic coating. This is to be very importantly remembered. The next technique is called as electroplating. The name itself says we require electro. Electro means current. We are going to plate using current. A metal, we are going to deposit one metal over the other metal using electricity. That is called electroplating. Simple definition. Look here. The deposition of coating metal on the surface of the base metal by passing electric current through the electrolytic solution is called as electroplating. So look in the diagram here. This is our silver nitrate solution. Here we have taken as a silver rod as a, right? We have taken silver rod here and a spoon here. This is, let us think that this is copper spoon. I am coating silver on this copper spoon. Clear? We have taken this silver. We want to coat it on the copper spoon. So copper acts. This should be acting as cathode, and this should be acting as anode. And here we have connected externally battery. In presence of current, because that is very important, passing electrical current, then only you can coat this copper spoon with silver. So this after coating, what happens? It color changes to silver color, right? This one what I have written here. So here the base metal is cleaned, it acts as cathode. So this is the base metal, copper spoon. This copper spoon is acting as cathode, and then the metal which is to be coated acts as anode. So I want to coat silver. So I have taken the silver rod here, and it is acting as anode, right? And the solution of the coat metal salt is taken as electrolyte. So what is the solution? It should be now. We are coating silver. Therefore, we have to take a. Can I take copper nitrate or copper sulfate? No, we have to take only silver nitrate. Right? This is a silver nitrate is our solvent solution here. That is the electrolyte. We call it as the electrolyte. So what is the electrolyte here? AgNO3. AgNO3 is the electrolyte here. Now the electrodes are connected to a battery. Here this is our battery. We have connected the electrodes to the battery and we will be passing the current. So DC current. When battery is there, DC current is passed. So slowly what happens? Electrolysis takes place and the coat metal is deposited over the base metal. Slowly what happens? Ag plus is migrating from this coat metal. This is called the coat metal. This is called the base metal. Slowly silver ions start moving towards this. So from here slowly Ag starts depositing. Now the electrolysis takes place and the coat metal. At this point I am explaining. Coat metal is deposited on the base metal. But what about the thickness? Thickness of the coat metal depends upon the current density. How much current you are using and how much time you are allowing the current to pass it, and the temperature and the concentration of the metal electrolyte. These are the 4 factors which influence the thickness of the coat metal. Current density, time, temperature, concentration of the electrolyte. So this is called as electroplating because we are passing electrical current. Right? So we will see with the diagram again. Here I showed you. This is our copper spoon. This is acting as a cathode. This is our silver rod. This is acting as anode. So silver rod acting as anode. Copper spoon acting as cathode. And this is, we have taken the anode is silver, cathode is copper. We have taken electrolyte, sodium argento cyanide solution. We can take the same. Argento means silver. Right? We have taken this electrolyte as this one. We have to coat silver on copper metal. This is copper metal is a base metal. This base metal acts as cathode always. Base metal. Very clearly you should remember. Base metal acts as cathode. And anode is a coat metal. Which metal you are going to coat? This is called as electroplating because we are using external source, DC battery, using current. If there is no current, no electroplating can be taken place. Now, instead of coating this copper spoon, I want a plastic spoon to be coated with silver. Is this possible here? No. How? Why? Because plastic is a bad conductor of current. If I take a plastic spoon, it is acting as an insulator, so no current flows and our spoon will be in the same color. No silver is deposited on the spoon. For that, this electroplating cannot be used there. So you should be remember that one of the important defects. So next slide we shall see. Further, we have coming the next concept called as electroless plating. The name itself says electroless means there should be without using current. The process of deposition of coat metal on the base metal without using current. Sir, without using current, how can we use? What is the energy source here then? Means that energy is obtained by using reducing agents, complexing agents. Clear? By action of a redox reaction, complexing reactions, we are going to plate the coat metal on the base metal. So this is one of the diagram here. So this is I shall explain the next slide. See here, this is called electroless plating because we are not using any electricity. So in this process, we can coat the both metal and non-metallic compounds. You can coat even metal compounds or non-metallic compounds. Clear? In the previous electroplating, if it is only metal, then only we can use it. If it is plastic spoon or if I take a glass ball, I want it in a silver color. Can I coat? No. Because it is not the metal. But using electroplating, You can use both metal and non-metallic compounds that can be coated with the metal surface. So now I want to explain now the point of electrolysis plating of nickel plating. So you can take metal or plastic also. So this technique is electrolysis nickel plating. This is an autocatalytic reaction. This is automatically taken. So this is our alloy, this is our substance what is to be coated here. Slowly I shall say layer. It is used for coating an even layer of nickel phosphorus or nickel boron alloy. So this is nickel phosphorus or nickel boron alloy. This is slowly. The reaction takes place here only. So before plating, what should we do? It should be cleaned by applying different types of chemicals. It should be cleaned. And here what the process is, it involves the dipping the substance in a bath of plating solution. Simple. If you want to coat the plastic spoon, dip it in this solution and leave it for some time. Automatically it is going to coat the nickel on our base metal or base compound. So, sir, you said bath solution. What is this plating bath solution? What does it contain? So, we want to coat. What are we going to coat? Nickel. I want to coat nickel here on a plastic spoon or any iron metal. Then what we are going to take? Now it should contain nickel salt. What is the nickel salt we have taken? Nickel sulfate. This is the source of nickel ion because NiSO4 gives rise to Ni plus 2. Nickel ions. So we have to take the base metal Ni plus 2. This is our solution which is a source of nickel ions. Next, to reduce this we have to use a reducing agent. For that we generally take sodium hypophosphite. Sodium hypophosphite. This is our sodium hypophosphite. This will reduce this Ni plus 2 to Ni only in presence of a pH 4.5 to 5.0. For that we use a buffer. In order to enhance the reaction, we take a complexing agent such as EDTA. I think you remember this word, ethylene diamine tetraesteric acid. This is a very good complexing agent here. So what our problem is? We will be doing the reducing agent react with the materials to deposit the nickel ion alloy here. Slowly the reducing agent, we have to put the solution in the solution. Immediately what happens? This reducing agent starts depositing this nickel over the base metal. The thickness, how the thickness depends upon the percentage of phosphorus. How much phosphorus is there? That much only. That is the base important thing to be monitored for monitoring the thickness. Here, is it necessary to pass current? No. So there is no need of, not necessary to pass current. So no need of current. Very good. But electrolysis plating, it prevents corrosion. So what is the use here? Electrolysis plating prevents corrosion and also wear, and it can be used for manufacturing of composite materials. So look here. This is the equations what you are going to see there. So this is our solution. What is the solution? It contains nickel sulfate solution, nickel sulfate salt. Second one is sodium hypophosphite, hydrated sodium hypophosphite, buffer solution and complexing agent. These are the four we have mixed here in this solution, and we have dipped a nut into this. Immediately it is coated with the nickel. Sample, that's all. What's happening inside the bath? This is called the nickel reducing bath. What's happening here? So there are again two parts. One is cathode and one is anode. So here the anode is a nickel. So NiSO4 gives rise to Na plus 2. Immediately 2 electrons taken by those and it gives Ni, and 2H plus and SO4 minus gives H2SO4. So if you take 2, then it is H2SO4 solution. At anode what happens? We have taken sodium hypophosphite, it reacts to form NaH2PO3. So final equation NiSO4 is converted into nickel. So in order to start this reaction and stabilize this reaction, we are maintaining the conditions, that is a buffer solution and a complexing solution. So here metal ions and a reducing agent. So this is a reducing agent. Reducing agent. Metal ions and reducing agent combined to form metal and oxidizing product. So this is the electrolysis plating of simple example of electrolysis plating of nickel. What are the applications of electrolysis plating of nickel? So generally, if it is iron, it easily rusts. But if in case of nickel, the rust is generally less. So nickel degradation is slow. So we can use it for coating of plastic injection molds. Injection molding technique we have discussed in our unit number 1. So on that mold, die casting molds, glass production molds, and also for protecting corroding parts, just like our gears, bearings, shafts, pumps, all these hydraulic cylinders, bolsters, transmission truss washers, anything. All these are iron articles. They will be coated with nickel by using electrolysis nickel plating. So nickel is coated. So thereby what happens? Their efficiency increases. It will not. They do not undergo wear very fast. They will be slow. The wearing of the solution, wearing of the machine parts such as gears, bearings, shafts, that decreases. Right. So this is about the applications of electrolysis plating. Now we shall see what are the advantages. Now compare electroplating is it advantageous or electrolysis plating is advantageous. Now we are going to see which one is better. Obviously, I think you are clear by now that yes, which is better? Electrolysis plating, right? So how is it better? See here, to coat the hollow sphered articles by using electroplating is very difficult. Very difficult. Hollow means it is empty inside, so it will deposit on both sides. Then it is wrong. But it can be used easily by electrolysis plating. Next, the quality of coating is very high in case of electrolysis plating. Clear? In electrolysis plating, the quality is very high than electroplating. Next, there is no need of current. Very important. If there is no current, can we record this? No. But electrolysis plating doesn't require any current, electricity. So even non-metallic surfaces, just like I told you, plastic items or glass items, they can also be easily coated by using this electrolysis coating technique. This one, electrolysis plating. Therefore, electrolysis plating is far better than electroplating technique. So this is all about the two new techniques we have discussed today. That is electroplating and electrolysis plating. In electroplating, we have used electricity, and in electrolysis plating, we have used a mixture of compounds, chemical reactions which undergo a redox reaction to coat metal over the base metal or the non-metallic substance.